Okay, this is it, except for like three of them. This is it. Last class. Um, this academic class will be the easiest thing you've ever done. Really easy. This is not designed like with heavy academics in mind. So don't sweat like reading anything or you're going to have one reflection paper to do. And then the main part of the assignment really is turning in your final paperwork to me, which is basically the exact same paperwork you turned into Dr. Johnson at the end of practicum one. You're going to turn into me, except it's going to have your total hours instead of just your practicum one hours. And I'll talk about that. I'm just letting some other people in here real quick. There we go. Okay. So today's going to be pretty easy. I'm going to just go over kind of, hey, here's what to expect. Here's what we're doing. And then I've got a couple of just broad questions to ask. I try my best to customize this class based on the students in it. Here's what I mean by that. Every class, I'll talk about pretty much the same things. We're going to cover a lot of the same information. But every once in a while, we'll have classes that students want to cover specific things or have specific questions in really specific areas, which is fine. This is just think about this as okay, this is my last academic class in my last class that I have to do anything for a university. My next step is I'm jumping into the state license world, which is different than the university world. Okay. Right. And so I have given you some information on Moodle, which is now different. We'll just say that. And I have done my best to put, let's see, I've done my best to I basically tried to grab everything off the old Moodle and put it onto the new Moodle. And I'm missing a couple of things. I'm going to make sure I've got everything on there, but I'm missing a couple of things for you guys. But there's a couple of things that I think are just helpful for you, like just information for you to know as you kind of transition into this next stage. So this class will serve as, a transition for you into the next stage of what to expect and what to do in terms of supervision and licensure. And we'll talk about the exam even. Um, uh, has anyone signed up for the exam by any chance? You can do that, Kim.
Yep, I take
Susan?
it
Yes, I took
Friday.
it.
Who takes it Friday? Come on now, let's go. All
I
right.
took mine last Saturday.
How'd you do?
I passed. It was
Yeah, you
definitely,
did. Yeah,
it
you
was
did.
hard.
Good job.
I passed in November. I thought it was hard as well.
See, it's like nothing. It's like nothing. It's not going to be any problem. Awesome. Good. So, Lindsay and Kendrika, you both have taken it.
Yes.
All right. So that means y'all are going to be the expert in the exam prep.
I can do that.
So,
I feel
so
like
y'all,
I can write a dissertation about it already.
here we go. Y'all going to be the expert. So
Sounds
anytime you
good.
have questions, y'all going to be the ones we're going to go to. Okay.
Okay.
Because I took the exam several years ago. So I'm not an expert in the current exam process. Okay. Good. That's awesome. So we got three of you taking it soon, like two of y'all Friday. And then Susan, when are you taking it?
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm not taking it till the 22nd of April.
April. Okay, good.
So I have a
Awesome.
little more study time. Yep.
Good. Okay. That's awesome. That's a big change. They used to make you wait till you graduate. I'm glad y'all can take it now. That's good. That's a good thing. Good. So that's one thing, the exam for sure. Then kind of next steps and what that looks like. And I've given you some websites to look at. The main one, and I'll just go there now just so we can look at it. Oh, that's that. Hey, hang on a second. the main one is here. Texas Behavioral Health Executive Council, which is a clearinghouse for marriage and family therapy, professional counseling, psychologists, and social workers. So it's called, for short, it's called BHEC. That's what people call it now. My suggestion would be go ahead and sign up for the BHEC emails that come monthly about any meetings they're going to have, any changes in rules that are going to come up. All those things will happen. You can get on that email list and they'll give you all that information. That's a good thing to do. This is on Moodle. I've got the link on Moodle for you. Then, so if you're looking at the professional counseling page, you would go here, and on this far right side over here, it's got pretty much everything you need to know in terms of, licensing, right? So right now, this would be, hey, I'm applying for a license, or I'm taking the exam, or I'm taking what's called the jurisprudence exam, which a lot of people either know about and some people don't. Jurisprudence exam is an ethics-based legal exam that you take that you cannot fail, right? So if you take it and you don't pass, they make you take it again with the right answers. They basically tell you what the answers are, and you take it again and answer the right answers, and then you pass. So you can't fail it, okay? But you have to show proof that you've taken it before you can get your license or apply for your license. All that information's right here, okay? If you're an LMFT, same thing. It looks exactly the same, just different information. For LMFTs, everything here on the right side. There's a little bit more here in the body. But what I have found since they've made this transition to kind of generalize where all this information is, I feel like they're a lot more, they respond better, I think, to folks. Even phone calls, for me anyway, have gone really smoothly. And anytime I've had to email them about things, like over Christmas, I'm actually licensed in multiple states. And over Christmas, I sent a message saying, hey, I'm going to be in this state, but I'm licensed in Texas and blah, blah, blah. Can I see these folks that are in Texas, even though I'm in another state? And Texas was cool with it, but the state I was visiting was not, which is kind of weird. So there's things like that any questions you have, anything about your license, that's a great place to go. It's just good information to know. And my suggestion would be jump on this site, kind of navigate around, just kind of look around, click on things, find out where things are. And I think that's super helpful. They've even got this new Find a Supervisor here for the LMFTs. I don't know if they have that. And of course, that happens. We broke it. Anyway, there's just several different different things here that you can check out and see. And so I would suggest go ahead and start getting on there and getting used to it, because this is your new world. This will be where everything's going to be. Okay. So even after you get your associates, you get your hours, you jump on here to get your full licensure and then renew it every 2 years. Okay. Does that make sense? Awesome. Now, one of the things that I have done in this class in the past, and I'm going to keep doing it now, is academically, I think Amerton has done a pretty good job of, well, we follow state regulations. You have to take these classes, and not necessarily in an order, but here's what you got to do to get your license or get your academic requirements completed. The one thing that we don't do, and really no program does, is talk about anything dealing with like the business side of being in practice. So about, I don't know, 4 years ago, I started talking about that with classes. So I've got at least one class that will spend just talking about, how to start your own business as a counselor or therapist. What does that mean? What does it look like? Should I take insurance or not? And if I do, what does that look like? I talk about tax liabilities, different things like that. I've actually done an interview with a CPA friend of mine. His name's also Chris. And I put that video up on Moodle. You can actually watch it right now. It's a 2-hour video of him talking through the tax implications of being self-employed. It's probably one of the best pieces of information that you can find about that. I think it's super, super helpful. I can't get him to come back because he's too dang busy, but I've been trying to get him to come back. But it's a super, I think it's a super helpful video to watch. So I've just put that up there for you guys to watch anytime you want. And we'll talk through some of it for sure. Then we'll also spend time every class, if this is what we want to do, talking about cases. Sometimes people want to process like difficult cases they're having right now, or hey, here's what I've been trying, here's where I'm stuck, here's where I need some help. Sometimes it's ethical type things, sometimes it's actual, work with the client. Sometimes it's I'm having trouble with my supervisor. We've talked about that. Any of those things are kind of open. I don't actually record some of those sessions and put those up, but all of the stuff that I talked about, like, anything else I'll record, like today, I'll record and I'll put it up. You can check it out. I usually post it within a day or so of having the class, because I realize that, sometimes people have stuff going on, and that's fine. So we'll meet. I think we're going to meet 3 more times. Let's see. Yeah, April. We're going to meet 3 more times. Twice in April, once in May. And so each one of those will have some case discussion. I'll spend pretty much probably the first class I'll spend walking through kind of the business of being a counselor. And then always, anytime you have questions about things, we can also spend time doing that. Like I think one class, and especially since a couple of you have already taken the exam, we could spend time letting you guys kind of talk through how you studied and what that looked like, and you guys can ask questions, because we're here to learn, and we learn from each other too, and I think that's awesome. I love it. So anytime people have specific experiences you want to share, that's helpful too. I can share some of my experiences if that's helpful. Keeping in mind that at the end of the day, all of us are going to be peers, right? We're all going to be helping people. And I think it's good to start networking as soon as you can. Because I know the clients I work with the best, and the ones that I have kind of struggled with, but I know people that really work well with those clients. And if I know that, I can make good referrals to people so they can get help in the right places. And so anytime we can kind of start doing that, especially in spaces like this, it's very helpful. Traditionally, unfortunately, our profession has been kind of competitive in the past in terms of wanting to keep clients and not share. But I'm like, man, there's plenty of people that need help. Plenty. There's plenty of clients out there for everybody. And so there's no reason to be super competitive about, trying to keep people. So this will be pretty open. This class will be pretty open. The discussions will be pretty open. And then our last class, the one in May, will be, I'll do kind of a time of transition, and I'll talk specifically about I like milestone moments personally. And so that's probably when I was a youth pastor before I did this, and when I used to do this with a lot of folks back in the day, and I've kind of continued it in my teaching. It's a big milestone that you're reaching at the end of your academic career. And so I kind of like to mark those milestones, and we'll do that the last class. I got a couple exercises I'll walk you through that we do together. So that's basically what we're going to do in terms of the classes. The class time will be pretty flexible, but we will fill up 2 hours, no problem. It goes by really fast. It'll be really easy to do. Now, in terms of assignments, there's really just 2 assignments that are going to be graded. There's 3 actual assignments that I've listed on Moodle. The QEP paper is a reflection paper. That's just for Dr. Hubbard. For him, I send those to Dr. Hubbard at the end of every semester because this is a capstone course. So this is your last class. So they take that information and apply it to the QEP research that we're doing on learning styles for university. There's no grade for that. I just ask people to do it and fill it out. The reflection paper is literally just a reflection paper on your practicum experience. That's it. It's one page, double spaced. You could write it right now if you wanted to and turn it in. Okay. The big one is your hours report, your supervision evaluation, and your self-evaluation. Okay. So all three of those will be on a document that you'll turn into me as well. What I've actually found that the easiest thing to do is just email that to me versus putting it on Moodle. This is new Moodle for me too. So this is all new. I have no idea what's going to happen, if it's going to work awesome or not. So we're going to just kind of figure it out as we go. In the past, you could only upload one document at a time on Moodle. I'm hoping that that's different, but we'll cross all those bridges when we get to them. We got a little bit of time before that starts. One question I do have right now in terms of hours, there's always people that are either pretty much done with their hours and then people that are like really far from done and then everything in between. That's super normal at this time. Some people get really good practicum sites and get a ton of hours and some people don't. It's fine no matter what. You still have to take the class, you'll have to do the assignments. I mean, you're still here for the class, but are there any people here that are a little bit worried about getting their hours completed by May 16th? Anyone? Okay. Awesome. Good.
I am on the edge.
Okay.
My child has had some health issues, and so I haven't been able to do as much, but I got a second site. So if no one gets sick and everything is perfect and wonderful for the next 10 weeks, I'll be fine. But if there's a major issue, I'll be right on the edge. So
How many do you have right now?
I have 46, but I have already made my indirect hours.
Well, how many hours do you have total?
150.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, this is my world. So if you think
Yes.
about it, okay, if I do 4 sessions a week for 10 weeks, that's 40.
Right.
So
yeah,
you should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be. We'll revisit like week 6.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, good.
Thank
you. Just FYI, everyone gets 40 hours for Prac 1 and 40 hours for Prac 2. So you get 80 hours for both, just so you guys know. Y'all know that, right? I'm hoping you know that. Okay, good.
I have a trouble to find the practicum site for the couples or family. So I done a lot of hours. I actually have excessive hours, but it's only with individuals or group therapy. And I need 75 with the couples.
Right.
I still have time till August.
You literally have like 23 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we can talk more about that too. This class is mostly LPC folks, but there's LMFT people. We can talk about both, just so y'all know. That's not a problem at all. We'll talk about both things and even both exams, hours for both. I mean, we'll talk about all of it. It's wide open. We basically kind of do the same things, but our requirements for licensure are a little bit different. So that's really the biggest difference. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So around week 5 or 6, I'll kind of check in again with people just to kind of see where you're at. One of the things that's happened recently as we get close to the end that I've noticed, and I think it's just time of year maybe, but there have been some students in their practicums having trouble getting their supervision evaluation form by the time that we need it. So my suggestion, I've started kind of talking about this earlier, like, hey, let's maybe get that, like everything is due the end of week 9 for this class right now on purpose, so that we kind of have a week buffer so we know we can get things in. So my suggestion is kind of like, hey, let's, if we get to week 7, which I think is like the 1st of May or something like that, I would go ahead and start trying to get that supervision evaluation form. Just things like that are kind of out of your control, right? Like you're dependent on someone else to get to you. Go ahead and start trying to get that. That's just been a little bit of an issue for students in the past couple of semesters. I'm not sure why. It's just been an issue. Not for everybody, just for some folks. If you add a site or change a site or anything like that, you'll need to send that information to me and Mary Jane Hall. Mary Jane Hall is the site supervisor. She kind of talks to every site and gets that information from the supervisors. She's going to be on our next Zoom call in April. Is that the April 6th? She'll actually be on the Zoom with us to kind of talk through that with everybody and get any information that you need. Everyone should have met her at Prac 1, right? Like she should have come and introduced herself. She probably gave you her phone number and everything. So if you have changes, you can just let her know if you add or change or anything, just because we have to document that along the way, and she's the one that kind of keeps track of that. Okay. And it's common to either add a site or change sites. And that's even common when you're getting your license. I think I probably had 6 different sites throughout my process because we moved or, I wanted to go somewhere else. I mean, that happens. The supervision part is trying to keep the same supervisors can be helpful, but changing sites people do that a lot. And it kind of just depends on really how fast you want to get your hours more than anything. LPCs tend to get their hours quicker than LMFTs because of the type of hours you have to get. That's generally how it happens. Okay. All right, I talked about that.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Do we have to eat if we finished our hours and everything? Do we have to stay at the site to the end of practicum?
That's a good question. Most people stay, but not everybody. I mean, I think the key is, so here's a couple of things you can think about. If you think, hey, I might stay at this site, like if I'm going to get my associates and I'm going to be at this site, you might want to stay. But that doesn't mean you have to see a ton of clients. You might want to do it that way. Like some people like the site they're in now for practicum and want to keep that site while they're getting their license, and so you might want to stay there. That would be one thing to think about. The other thing to think about is if you want to just take a break, I guess you could, but you still have to complete all of the all the requirements for the class. So I know that there's at least 2 or 3 of you that are either close or done with hours, which is fine. My suggestion would be maybe thinking about keeping a couple of clients and just kind of keeping that going. But that's really up to you more and probably up to your site supervisor as well. But most of the reason why people stay at a place is because they've gotten their hours there and they've kind of they like it, and so they stay there. Some people definitely don't want to do their hours at their practicum site too. That happens. But my suggestion would be to kind of think through, like, if that's where you want to be. If that's where you think you're going to be, it's okay to stay there. Here's the hard part about it, and this is true if you finish your hours now or finish your hours at the very end. The hard part about it is you can't count those hours towards your full licensure no matter what anyway. That's the hard part about it. LPCs used to be able to, but they changed that rule, and LMFTs actually can now. It used to be the opposite. I don't know. I'm wondering if my gut tells me that might change again, But I don't, as of right now, that hasn't changed unless something new has happened in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks that I don't know about. So I know that's a really non-answer, but I mean, it's really up to you. But if you think you like that site, I definitely would think about staying there because if you got your hours there, to me, sounds like a pretty good place to get hours.
Yeah, I guess I should have rephrased that. Do I need to still because I got all my hours, so do I need to still write my hours each week if I'm already finished, I already made the requirement of the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
300?
yeah. Good question. So you know what I would do? I would, and this is why. If they change this rule where you can actually count some of these practicum hours towards your license and they kind of grandfather you guys in, then you have record that you have these hours. So I would just track them. I definitely would. I and I honestly I'd get in the habit of tracking hours because you're gonna do this religiously when you're getting your license. I mean, I would just go ahead and keep tracking them. Yeah, for sure. Does that help? Maybe,
Okay,
hopefully.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. Any other questions?
Do you know how long it's taking to get the LMF or the LPC associate license after graduation? Because I've heard
I
it's
don't,
been long, but now it's shorter.
yeah, I don't think it's taking too long.
Okay.
I feel like between 2 and 4 weeks seems like to me right now. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
I wish I could say, hey, it takes, this amount. It used to take a while for sure.
Right.
I think it's a little bit better right now.
Okay.
A little
Great.
bit quicker. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do most people take the exam, the licensing exam, while they're in the program or after they graduate from the program?
It's probably about half and half, I would say. And it's only been in the last, excuse me, it's only been in the last couple of years you could actually take it before you graduate.
Mhm.
That's kind of a new thing. So there's definitely more people taking the exam during their coursework now, for sure. That's probably growing every semester. Um, but
And you
but it's
recommend
probably half and half, probably.
you recommend doing it during before graduation?
I don't know. What do you guys think? Some of you have already taken it.
And I think it just depends on if you feel comfortable enough taking it while you're still in school. For me, everything was still fresh on my mind, even though I used a few prep apps and the National Counselor Examination book. But like I said, it just really depends on where if you're comfortable now taking it.
Yeah.
I
Great
would
point.
suggest taking it as soon as possible. For me, all of that information dropped out of my head immediately after I took it. Not in a bad way of just, I can understand it all, but the minutia of all of those little, the phrases and things. But you can also take it again. So sometimes, if you take it the first time and it's uncomfortable. For me, the environment was the most uncomfortable. And just like that pressure of being in like a study room with a bunch of people taking exams, but it really wasn't that bad, and I'm sure y'all do great. So
Thanks.
I have a question. I've been a little confused. Some people on the call know because I've sent messages. I'm trying to figure it out, but I've been a little bit confused about like all the steps that are required to apply for your license and the timing of when you can do it. So I know you have to take the jurisprudence exam and the human trafficking course and the NCE exam. What other things? I think you can do all of those before you graduate. But I'm just, if you have any, I don't know, I've struggled with figuring out like the timing of all that and even the checklist of all of it.
Okay. So you hang on a second.
Because I think once you get your diploma from Amberton, and you've got all those other things together, then you can send it all in to get your LPC associate, right?
Yeah, you can,
Okay.
hang on a second. So you'll need your transcript.
Okay.
So everyone here, whether you go walk or not, need to apply for graduation, because that starts the initial process of getting your transcript. I was going to talk about this anyway, Susan. This is perfect.
Oh, good. And there's a deadline for that, like that's
There's a
coming up.
deadline, like it's
Fine,
maybe
yeah.
next week. It's pretty quick. So applying for graduation. I'm actually going to be there this year at
Good.
the live graduation, so that'll be fun. It's in May. It's May 17th. I don't know why that matters, why I said that, but anyway,
Since you're talking about the actual event, do we have to get a cap and gown, and where do we
you
find out
will.
information about that?
All that's
Somebody,
included in the information when you apply for graduation.
it was not included. We've applied and gotten okayed, and I don't have that information, just so you
Yeah,
know.
it should be on the site, the website. All that stuff's on the
Okay.
website.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as I know, some of these questions are above my pay grade too. Just FYI.
I believe they send it out like I think they said 3 to 4 weeks before graduation. It's something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you should get information about it. I'm
Okay.
assuming either email or snail mail. I'm not sure. That's above
Okay.
that's all above my pay grade.
It's in my mind because I have a daughter graduating in May, a week after us, and she
Yeah,
probably had to order her graduation regalia like in October. So I just
yeah,
was making sure I didn't miss it.
yeah. I don't think you missed it. Now, application for graduation is very important because that will start the process of getting your transcript. You will usually be able to get your transcript within a week or so after graduating. It takes a little bit of time for them to post the degree, put all the hours in, make sure everyone's got what need to have. And then that official transcript will be ready for you within a week or so after graduation. So by the end of May, you should be able to get that. You'll need that for your application for associate license. You'll also need to get the state form filled out that represents your your practicum hours. Sorry, y'all, I've been sick all week. I sound like a 13-year-old boy sometimes. uh, there's a state form that you will fill out and then send to Gina Termenstein. I'm going to send all this out to y'all, by the way. You'll send that to Gina Termenstein. She will get it signed by the dean that says you have completed your practicum at Amberton University. The state needs that form. Amberton doesn't need that form. That's a state form. That's part of your application packet. I think that's it. I think that's it. There's an online licensing system, like when you apply, it's online. Everything's online. Everything's electronic now, right? So you'll do all those things electronically, and you'll basically just kind of follow those steps. Okay. On the main BHEC site, on the right column, on the main site, there's the timeline and step-by-step process there, basically for the licensing process. If you're an LMFT, everything I'm telling you right now, just delay that a few weeks. But it's basically the same process for LMFTs. Okay. And I just noticed this. They've actually got processing times now on the main site. The average number of days for an LPC associate processing is 37. 37 days. The minimum is 1, the maximum is 917. I don't know how this helps us, but that's what they're putting. I would take that number off and be like, hey, it's 37 days. Probably scare me. Anyway, I just noticed that. They just put that up there. Anyway, and your supervisor. You need to have your supervisor in place as well, and that information. I forgot about that. Sorry, I cut someone off. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was gonna ask for to apply for graduation. Where do we do that?
I believe it's online, right? On the
It's on
the
there. It's
website.
on the Amberton. If you just Google like Amberton graduation information, I think you can find it, and it's pretty step by step. And there's an application and a fee,
Okay, how
and
much was the
they
fee?
process it super fast.
How much was the fee?
I think it was like
$5,000.
I think
Oh,
it's like
God.
125. I think it was like 125.
Okay, like
Does
around
that sound
120.
right? I think.
Yeah, 135, and if you want it sent, if you want the diploma sent to you, it's another $10. So it'd be 135 in that case.
Yeah, but that doesn't include the fee to graduate, to participate in the ceremony.
I think it does include that. It just probably doesn't include whatever stuff we have to wear. I would assume there's a fee associated with that.
Really? Because mine said that it doesn't include anything for the pertaining to the graduation ceremony.
I think what they mean probably is the cap and gown, maybe. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, if you submit the if you submit that form, which is under forms and publications on the not on the Moodle, but on the student portal, then you go on and pay the 125. Then they'll send you in the mail a letter and the transcript and all of that you need.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, here it is right now. I'm looking at it. Is anyone going to walk? 2 people? I mean,
Maybe.
you don't have to. You don't have to. I'm just curious. You still graduate no matter what. So if you walk or not, it's actually all like everyone graduating from all the departments. But it's still it's not very long actually. It's over within like an hour, hour and a half. It's pretty quick. So it's actually kind of cool, I think. But either way, you get a diploma, whether you walk across the stage or not. So, okay, cool. Any other questions about anything? Well, not anything, but course related.
I have
Okay,
one
cool.
can I ask a super quick question?
Yeah,
So
sure.
in that time period that we're waiting for our license, we cannot do anything, correct? Unless we cover ourselves with like Practicum 3. Like if we signed up for Prac 3, can we still work at our sites until our license comes in?
Good question. So if you wanted to keep working, you would sign up for the extended practicum. Practicum 3 is for LMFT students specifically.
Oh, okay.
So I do have students. Here's how extended practicum came about. It came about because you used to have to wait to take the exam until after you graduated. So people would do the extended practicum while they took the exam and while they waited for the results, and so then they could apply. Now, since we take the exam and you can apply basically as soon as you graduate if you want, not as many people do the extended practicum. However, you can't count any of the hours towards your associates, no matter what, anyway, until you have your associate license. But if you want to be covered under Amberton still, while you wait for that, you can do extended practicum to see clients. Some people choose not to see clients at all while they wait. You can do that too. Some people do that. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys just for your own benefit. And I realize everyone here is an adult, going to do whatever they want. I would not see students while I wait for my associate license. We have had people do things like that in the past and they've gotten in trouble. There's no reason to not have to lose your license before you get it. There's no reason to do things that potentially could cause you to not to have a license. So you either take the extended practicum so you can see clients till you get your license. You can actually drop some people have started the extended practicum. This happened to me last semester, actually. I think I had 4 or 5 people start the extended practicum, then got their associate license, and then just drop the class. You can do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. I'm at a place where I'm doing PHP and IOP for adolescents. So there's been some discussion about keeping me on, and I don't want to be in a situation where I have a group, right? And then I'm like, hey, it could be 40 days until I can run that group. So I just was kind of thinking ahead of how I would handle the gap, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing to do is take extended practicum. And then you can, when you get your license, you can drop the class. I mean, you've already graduated. You know what I'm saying? This is just a way to give students a way to keep seeing clients if they want and kind of give you that protection, if that makes sense. So good question. And that's why people do the extended practicum. But like I said, some people are like, hey, I'm taking a break. Some people don't see clients at all and just try to take a break. Yeah, good question. Really good question. Any other questions? And some of this stuff we'll probably talk about again, by the way. This won't be the only time, I'm sure. Because sometimes you have more questions as you get closer to.
Dr. Bedard, I just have one quick clarification. So there's a short little 1-page paper for the QEP thing about my learning style. And then there's just this 1-page thing about what you think about your practicum and then your hours report. That's it. I was making sure there were 2 little reviews. I thought there were.
Yeah. I'm so nice. I used to have people read a book and write stuff about the book.
Thank you for not doing that. I need to study for my exam.
Then everybody grabbed at me about it, and I was like, okay, whatever. So it's super light because you're already doing all the practical work. There's no reason to have heavy academic work. Is anyone in a place other than DFW? Sometimes we have people that like in different parts of the state. I'm just curious. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, let me give you my spiel about a couple of things that'll be important for you, I think. But again, you guys take this information for what it's worth. We've had some students start a Facebook group for students, which I think is great. A lot of great information there, super helpful. Some of you might know about it or on it or whatever. I think it's great. Then there's some really bad information on it and some stuff that's kind of not worked out so well for people, that kind of stuff that was spread around that wasn't really true kind of stuff too. So I think it's great to be on those groups because they can be very supportive for you. Just keep in mind that not everything on there is true. Some things aren't. Anytime you have a question, just ask. Sometimes I don't, like, some rules change too that I'm not even aware of, like I have to read up on. So that happens too. And so one of the things that's happening in our world right now, both LPC and LMFT, there are a lot of changes that are happening as a result of COVID and teletherapy. So there's actually several things that are going on right now that are changing, either have changed in terms of rules or in the pipeline of changing. And so just be mindful of that, because sometimes people say things that just aren't true. I know that sounds weird to say, but it's always better to just kind of check with the rules that we have for our profession. That's the best way to go about it. The biggest thing would be when it comes to supervision and having a practice. Technically now, LMFTs and LPC associates can both have a practice technically, but you still have to be supervised. So you're still under supervision. Here's what supervision means. you are not practicing under your license as an associate. You're practicing under the supervisor's license. That's really important to remember. Until you have your full license and you're practicing for yourself, you're practicing under that supervisor's license, which is why supervision is so important. Does that make sense? So when you find your supervisor, that's awesome. Just remember you're practicing under their license, not your own. I bring that up because sometimes people either don't know that or don't really think about it. And sometimes you don't think about it because you're not even close to it yet. You know what I mean? You spent your whole time just thinking about how can I pass? And now we're starting to think about license and what that means. And so that's what this class is for. All right. So any of those questions, I'll do my best to answer. There's definitely things I don't know for sure, 100%. But I can probably point you in the right direction and kind of get you there. Clinically speaking, we're going to do that too. And I'll help you clinically as much as I can as well. But this class to me is a great class for us to kind of share our knowledge too, and our experiences. I think that's what's great about this class. So we'll do that too. Before we go, there is one kind of this is super general. I'm just really curious, and if you can't answer this now, that's fine. We can talk about it at the beginning of our next class. Coming into this experience and thinking about where you've been and all the classes you've taken and kind of where you're going, are there topics? Are there areas, issues that you think, oh man, I really wish we knew or talked more about this? Are there things you wish we could talk about in here that you maybe haven't had a chance to talk about or learn about? And I'll do my best to maybe cover some of those things to you.
So I have something maybe. I'm because I work in adult mental health, I'm dealing a lot with trauma. And even though we touch on trauma in every class, I realize that. And I know that one of the professors, I think it's Dr. Johnson, Pamela Johnson, she has actually a trauma there is a course, but because of my scheduling, I wasn't able to take it, so if you could, is that something that you're thinking, is that, so trauma really being trauma informed and maybe pointing us to resources and things like that, things that I can look at. Okay.
100%. Yeah. That's a great one. We all need to be trauma informed. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I can not only point you in several directions, I can probably tell you different models of therapy that are used because there's multiple. I actually just was trained in prolonged exposure therapy last year, so I'm certified in that. I've worked with trauma folks for a while now, and so I could talk about that a little bit. But that's not the only one. There's definitely other avenues, but yeah, and we can talk generally about trauma too, just some of the effects and what the research tells us. So yeah, that's a great one for sure. Yeah. Any other ones?
Yeah, I would just mention that my first month, I'm working at Denton County MHMR in the intake group, and even though I started December 11th, because that's when they were able to assimilate me into their group, the first month and a half was spent in training. And I turned in more than 30 certificates of completion of training programs. And, a lot of that was new information to me. And, I could pull together a list of what those classes were.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so doing certificates now is kind of the new thing, being certified in something, like using it as CEUs, whether it's a model of therapy or a certain focus of therapy. That's kind of the new thing that's going on. And definitely if you go to a facility, they're going to do a lot of that. 100%. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, that's any of that information is always helpful, Richard. I think anything like that you can send is great. I think that's super helpful for
Okay.
people. Yeah. Yeah, good. Anything else? Okay, cool. So our next class will be, what did I say, April something, 20th maybe, 13th. I can't remember.
I think you said the 6th. I think Moodle
6th,
says 6th and the 20th in April.
there you go. April 6th. So that'll be our next class. Obviously, always send me a message if you need anything, if anything's going on. We'll meet on, it's all the classes are on Saturday at this time from 9 to 11. That's when they'll be. I realize not everybody can make them all. That's fine. But just you can look at the recording later if you want. That's why we'll do that. So next class, we'll talk about some areas of just kind of going into business, what that looks like. And we'll also talk about case studies. So anytime you want to bring a case, just kind of general information about the case, what you've been doing with them, and what you're kind of, is there something you need help with, or are you stuck in a place? And then we'll kind of ask questions as we walk through that and hopefully give you some suggestions. So we'll do that. And then that usually takes up the whole time. So that's what we'll do on the 6th. Other than that, now you can go do something else.
Mhm. Now, this class will be 10 to 11?
9 to 11.
9 to 11. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah,
it.
from here on, it'll all be 9 to 11.
Okay.
All right. Okay, have a good weekend, and I will see you in a few weeks.
Thank you. I hope you feel better.
Bye, guys.
Thanks. Bye.